unpack.
Yeah, I have to say, whenever I ask somebody to tell me what the triangle race is,
Yes.
I'm expecting them to tell me about the sailing, and what I hear about are the parties in the harbours. So should we start with that? What's Kinsale like for a party? What's the reception like in Kinsale?
It's, as you'd expect, plenty of Guinness, and very, very friendly club there. Just couldn't do enough for us.
Yeah, really. Hi guys, welcome to the Sailing Podcast. I'm Theo Stocker and I am here at the Southampton Boat Show, and today I am with three entrants from this year's Yachting Monthly Celtic Triangle race run by Royal Cornwall Yacht Club, and they've kindly agreed to come and chat to us about what they did, how the race was, and why it is such a great event to take part in, whether you are a racing sailor or a cruising sailor or just wanting to try a bit of offshore sailing in company. So first of all, I'll let you introduce yourselves today, if that's okay. Should we start with JT, Jane? What's your name? Give the answer away. And tell us about what boat you sailed in and whether you've done triangle races before.
Okay, so I'm Jane. I've been a face on and around the triangle races 2012 when the original editor of Yachting Monthly said, will you do the triangle race on his behalf? He's broken his arm, and that basically set the whole ball rolling. And while I was there covering it as press, all of the entrants who were fabulous said, you should come and bring your own boat, which is a Daler 36. So I went back to the next edition and I couldn't get enough of it, and each time I found a new female coastkeeper to come with me. So I did 2014, 2016, 2018. Then we had COVID and it was really difficult, and thankfully the Royal Cornwall have managed to resurrect it, and it came back as good as ever in 2025.
Yeah.
And my boat is still out of action, so I joined in with another female coastkeeper, a boat owner, who was actually the very first woman I ever met in my life that owned her own boat in 2012, which was Mary Sturgis with her J105. So it was like the full circle.
Great. Okay.
So I got to coastkeeping with her.
Thanks. And then we've got...
Yeah, and I'm a newbie to the triangle race. Only done it once this year.
Sorry, just tell us your name. I should have introduced you with your name.
Yeah, that would be good. Rob. I'm Rob.
Yeah, Rob McGregor.
And yeah, so my boat's it's a Mustang 30.
Okay.
And smallest boat in the race this year, and I did the race single-handed.
So 30-footer.
Yeah.
A 1980s boat, is that right?
19 built in 1999.
Oh, 99, sorry, 1990 specs on 1980s.
So, but the design's a bit older.
Yes, yeah. And finally...
Kathy Clayton, my boat that I did it in 2018, and then as you've heard, there was a gap, and so very pleased that it happened in 2025.
Yeah.
And repeated it with the same coast skipper, Phil Kirk, and that's in Arcona 370. Mm-hmm. Which at the moment I'm just selling, but I'm already entered with an Arcona 340 for next time.
Okay, so you're just downsizing a little bit.
Yeah, due to moorings and things like
Yes, yeah, but you're sticking with Arconas.
Absolutely.
Yeah, great. So, JT, could you just outline very briefly what is the Celtic Triangle race? Where does it start and where does it go?
Okay. So the Celtic Triangle race starts from Falmouth. It has a first leg is composed of 3 legs. So it starts off in Falmouth, goes round the corner, heads straight for Kinsale. At Kinsale there's a bit of party, and then the second leg goes from Kinsale. I think in the next edition it's going to be going via the Fastnet Rock. I'm not sure, but that's been on the cards. Like you want to cut that out. But they're saying that it might go via the Fastnet for its contrast, to make the second leg longer, because that allows it to be a qualifying leg for the Azores.
So that gets it up to 300 miles.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the second leg goes from Kinsale to Tréguier, northern France, possibly via the Fastnet Rock. That's quite a decent chunk of a leg, so it's a nice challenge. And then from once you get to Tréguier, it's a huge party, it's a great time, lots of socials. And then from there, it's a sprint, and it's great fun just heading straight back to Falmouth. That heading north is usually the wind is a good direction, and it's a really good sprint back.
Yeah, I have to say, whenever I ask somebody to tell me what the triangle race is, I'm expecting them to tell me about the sailing, and what I hear about are the parties in the harbours. So should we start with that? What's Kinsale like for a party? What's the reception like in Kinsale?
It's as you'd expect, plenty of Guinness, and very, very friendly club there. Just couldn't do enough with.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's really good club facilities there. There's a lovely clubhouse, but also there's some great places to eat. You can sail. It's very, very...
Distilleries or breweries, isn't it?
There is a brewery. Sometimes there's a trip out to the brewery. There's all kinds of things happening there. So different people who join in the race, and often there's Irish people on the race who are local, will say, right, I've organised this. There's a walk around the town. There's this going on. So there's lots of things happening, and there's nearly always live music in a bar at some point, and there's dancing and drinking. So this... You don't have to drink, obviously, but
it helps.
if you like dancing, then Kinsale's your place.
Yeah. And Tréguier, what's Tréguier like?
It's just a completely different place, really. Both times that I've done it in 18 and this year, you march up through the town.
The mayor processes you
through the triangle, because all the locals were into it this year, and I thought they must have this for lots of events, but they don't seem to, and it's a very special thing that they do for the triangle race, and up to the cathedral and in the cloisters, and the mayor's there and everything. But they are so friendly, and the French challenged us to a pétanque competition, and we had loads
Who won?
of teams. Oh, I don't know about that. We didn't really get round to that. But they were so friendly and helping us and bringing all the equipment.
And the Breton pipe bands and all that sort of stuff.
Oh, and the hog roast was excellent.
Yeah.
Because each stopover generally includes another yachting club of some description, and generally they're really, really welcoming, and that each year is different. Each race is different, and what the different clubs manage to organise. Again, like if you're in Brittany, you never know whether it's going to pee with rain or not. So occasionally, when I've done the race, we're in a big marquee, or sometimes we're in a park in the sunshine having a hog roast. And so everyone's different. Every race is different, and the hospitality is never failing to be just brilliant.
Yeah, so I watched out for these foliage. This is high quality foliage on the terrace at the boat show with the marina in the background.
I think Tréguier is just such a beautiful place, just up the river there. It's an 8-mile motor up the river. Just wonderful place to visit.
Some of the competitors, once they got there, they'd taken their running kit and went for a run along the river. It's absolutely gorgeous, guys. Really.
My co-skipper did, but I did enjoy.
You weren't doing a run this time.
Previous editions, they've also organised a little rowing race for all the crews to do as well. So, as I say, every year is different.
So it's a bit of a... It's called a race, but it's and there are people who turn up and they're in very serious JPK 1010s and Sunfast 3300s, 3600s, 3200s. So some serious race boats, but also some proper cruising boats, Westerly Ocean Lords and Rustler 37s and that kind of thing. But it seems like everyone just sort of coheres into one big group where you're enjoying going to some great places and having a bit of a race along the way to get there.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely is competitive race. Like, really is. The people are looking at the results when they get it's pinned up on a wall somewhere, or it's emailed out, depending on like which leg you're on. But it is very competitive.
Yeah.
But also it's a great for sharing.
Yeah.
I mean, the social, but also from the linking it with the racing, that everybody is sharing difference and the adaptations they've made for their boats, or if they're a cruising boat, what's the difference? How can we get a bit racier? Or
and I would love to take part. I couldn't take part this year, but I was following on the WhatsApp group, watching all of these chats going on of, I've got a problem with my autopilot, and somebody go, I've got the tool for that, or I know how to reprogram that. And it seemed like everyone was really, it's not like you sort yourselves out and we'll sort ourselves out. Everyone was really chipping in to help. Everyone wanted everyone to finish and get out.
It helps that the racing is divided up, so you will always have somebody similar to race with of a similar handicap. So it doesn't really matter if you're in a slower boat. There will be somebody else there in a slower boat, and you can kind of race it them.
Different classes.
Yeah, so there's different classes. See, although there are really out-and-out racy boats there, and they will disappear off into the distance, you won't see them until the stopover. That's okay, because there is somebody else you'll be racing with, and they're racing with somebody. So there's always somebody in contact with you, and it's quite fun when you see the little lights on the horizon and you're chasing them down, or they're chasing you down. And it's just, it doesn't matter what kind of boat you've got. You could take almost any boat, and you could find somebody to compete with.
Yeah. Yeah. I realised when we were talking...
Kept on coming across you as we as it went through each leg.
I realised when we were talking about the parties and the stopovers, we didn't talk about Falmouth and the Royal Cornwall Yacht Club.
Oh, we start and finish there. So it's the dinner at the start, starting to get to know everybody at the start, and then.
So I think we need to give a little bit of a shout out to the Royal Cornwall Yacht Club, because the event used to be run from Tréguier, but it's now it sort of COVID sort of finished it off a bit, really, didn't it? And,
lost its momentum.
And it's quite a difficult thing to come back. And then I think there were JTU and other people who have done triangles in the past, combined with the single-handed offshore racing club and the double-handed offshore UK DOS. Yeah, I know that. And Rob, you're part of the single-handed offshore racing club.
Yeah, so was Sork. So Sork organised an inshore series and an offshore series, very similar to the Joffricks, really. So destination racing, again, very social, and some very serious and some less serious. But this year, every year they have what they call Channel Week, which is a week usually of racing across the channel, once, twice, even 3 times, and islands through the Channel Islands and so on. So and that's basically a different race each day. Going from place to place, and this year, instead of having that sort of normal Channel Week, they chose. So
they look. Those two clubs, I think, look for other events that aren't necessarily run by themselves, but that they then put into their racing calendars and recommend to their members to sign up for, and
as an alternative to.
And that then counts towards your sort of annual series. And
Rob mentioned that the jog racing, I mean, it's mainly, obviously there is inshore, but there's the cross channel, whereas this is just going that bit further. You might not want to do the fast net, but in the end, that's what you're doing. But
with a little stopover and a nice meal in between.
Lots of people have said, I really want to do the fast net, but I've quite like to stop in Ireland for a pint and then come back. So it's a bit like that, isn't it?
It is very much. With a little stop over some wine in France as well.
And it amounts to some serious miles as well. I mean,
it's over including 600 miles.
Well, and including the delivery to from Falmouth, I told her that I've done over 1,000 miles.
Where's your home port?
In Hamble.
Okay, so literally just round the corner that way, isn't it?
And but getting to Falmouth is
so
a long way.
So those clubs, previous trianglers, and the Royal Cornwall, who they host the Azores and back race anyway. That's sort of their event. But they said, actually, yes, we think there's enough interest to resurrect the Yachting Monthly Triangle race as it was in the Yachting Monthly Celtic Triangle race.
I actually used the Triangle race previously as a qualifier for the Azores, as double-handed.
Because that 300-mile leg is long enough to qualify for these.
So when they were approached, I think it's by Kate Cope and some other job racers, double-handers, and some of the Sork races, they approached Royal Cornwall and said, would you be interested in resurrecting this race? Because it's a really good opportunity for us to do something a bit different. There's not just crossing the channel all the time, and also it's a really good way to qualify for the ASAP. It's a bit more fun than going out and bashing the miles. So let's do it in a more sociable way.
And it was they didn't have a long while to get it all ready, and I think they did a brilliant job
they really did
to get it going. And that's the other thing, they really listened to the sailors who've done it before, and adjusted things, such as when we had the thick fog for the start of the third leg.
I did. I mean, we were laughing because they were sort of not quite sure what to do, and said, well, haven't we had to deal with this? And your voice very clearly came over the radio and goes, right, well, you were like, race control, I suggest this. And then there's a brief pause going, that's a good idea. And they came back, that's a good idea. And that was basically what it was. So they really did listen to you.
So tell us what happened there. You came out to Tréguier.
We came down the river, and actually it was quite clear coming down the river, and this fog bank came in. I'd actually seen it predicted on Predict Winds forecast. Some people said they hadn't seen it predicted.
That was also funny. When we hadn't seen it predicted, you were I have.
And it really came in so thick. And that area where the start line is at the mouth of the river is just littered with rocks. Yeah. I mean, there is a definite channel and you can see it all. But suddenly there were 30-odd boats there, all careering round.
Just a bit.
And nobody could see the committee boat anyway, which was a massive boat, but the fog was so thick.
Yeah.
And the trouble is where they had the start line was inshore a bit because they wanted to anchor as you normally do with the committee.
Yeah, so you've got a fixed line.
So their first option was to go further out, but not to anchor. But then it became clear that we still couldn't see them.
No.
So a combination of Andrew on the boat and my suggestion was, I didn't suggest that we had this open gate, and that was his idea, that a 30-minute gate when we could
So
start
it's a time window in which to start.
Literally,
We had
it
to
was
go past the buoy
yeah.
within that.
Take your time, report your
Yeah, so we could put the code 0 up and then go through the line if you were feeling racy.
Yeah.
But take your time, because we take the time till the finish.
That's how you do it. It's all self-reported, so it's not.
Absolutely.
It's quite sort of informal. You haven't got trackers on the boat or anything like that. I mean, they can see you on AIS, so
We have to
they
have
know.
AIS.
You were there. Yeah.
Actually, that's one thing you do actually have AIS
Okay.
transmission.
Yeah.
I don't think we should before.
I mean, that's part of most boats you've got now these days, don't they? I mean, if you haven't got it, even have to have that.
I've got to get it put in my new boat.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Good. So the race committee were responsive to making the event one that worked for the sailors, were pragmatic about doing that. So and also just a little shout out to the sponsors. Hyde Sails came on board, Penrose Sailmakers, Salcombe Gin, and Taylor Money all sort of put some resources into making this happen. And then Yachting Monthly did a little bit of supporting and publicising it, and we covered it a fair amount in the magazine. And that all came together to mean that the event got off the
They
ground.
had a very short lead-in time.
Yeah.
They were aware of it and they wanted to get more sponsors.
Yeah, I mean, it
They
was
just
basically
didn't
within
have
about
time
6
to
months.
organise it.
Yeah,
They did some beautiful trophies and everything.
yeah.
That with the Cornish state, and there were some unique things there.
Yeah, and it was actually run on an odd year this year, which is odd in that it's normally run on an even year. JT, why is that?
Because it corresponds really nicely with everything else going on in the race calendar.
Particularly the Azores and
So
back.
you've got the Azores and back, but there are also other events like the Fastnet and the Round Britain and Ireland and Round Ireland, and there's various races that fit into a calendar, and they fit into that calendar for quite a few years. And that triangle race fitted in for a long time in the gaps, and sometimes you'd have to forfeit the triangle race to do a different race. But you would find a way that every 4 years you'd get to do the triangle race. It runs every 2 years, and by putting it onto the odd year, it puts it all out of kilter.
Yeah.
So that what they're doing is realigning it next year, 2026, to put it back onto those even years.
So this year we wanted to get it off the ground while there was enthusiasm and support for it, get it going, get it resurrected, and then it's coming back into sync next year.
Yeah.
And I think at the moment there's the expressions of interest are still open. So
Yeah, I mean,
They're up to 50, so
yes. I mean, there will be a lot of.
It'd be a lot of churn.
There will be people who realise they can't do it. And, so it's definitely worth putting your name.
But
on
if you're interested and you want to do it,
definitely put your name down.
now's the time to say yes, I'd like to do it.
Yeah.
And then
Start
you can
planning.
start planning
Getting
it.
the boat ready for it.
Yeah. So should we come on to that then, Rob? In terms of getting your boat ready, you've obviously done a bit of solo racing, offshore racing. I've got to say I have a normal cruising boat. What might that be? An Arcona 340 that hasn't yet been raced or competed in, or a Mustang 30. What would I need to go? I'd like to take part in this event. What do I need to get the boat ready to take part?
So the basic requirement is the Cat 3 offshore ORC, the standard. And you can look at that online. It's a long list of things you need to have, including AIS, for example. AIS, lots of safety regs and that sort of thing. And for the triangle race this year, it was Cat 3, which is what you need for racing in the channel.
But that's so. Just to clarify, that's largely equipment and things that you have on your boat, rather than you don't need to sort of materially change your boat itself to make it.
There's a bigger step to Cat 2 as a Fastnet, for instance. So this is Cat 3, but plus the life raft.
And if you were doing the Azores and back, that's category 1 because you're going 2 weeks out into the Atlantic, miles offshore. Whereas this is within 150 miles.
It's a nice stepping stone to get your boat ready. If you're thinking of being more ambitious, there's category 3. Now, the old triangle was category 2. So they've made it a lot easier access point. So category 3 with a life raft is relatively easy to get your boat ready for.
Yeah, it's not quite Category 3 because
Yeah.
it's Category
It's not-
3 plus the life raft, which is fairly standard, but also with the scantling requirements for Category 2.
Just tell us what the scantling requirements are.
So that's basically the boat, the strength of the boat, the standards to which it's been built.
Okay, so that it's seaworthy enough to go out into the Celtic Sea, into the English Channel, in weathers where you might not necessarily have chosen to go cruising if you weren't on a sort of a race.
Short-handed as well. So you're relying on the boat to look after you a little bit more.
Yeah.
Did you have to get what did you have to do for yours?
So for most boats,
I'm gonna have to do for my Guess 31.
okay, boats that are sort of less than I think about 25 years old, generally don't have a problem because the CE mark, which came in the 90s, covers the scantling requirements for Cat 2 for 1,700. And my boat although it was built in the 90s, the design point was 1988, and therefore it didn't actually meet those requirements. But there are, and reading through the category, the definition of the category, there's all sorts of sort of different things that different paths you can go down, different classification societies, that sort of thing. In my case, the boat, what I ended up having to do was to get some statements from the builder and the designer to say that the boat was built to a equivalent level of strength to what the CE mark would give you.
Okay, so it is possible to get that.
It's possible to do it.
Most sort of slightly younger boats, 25 years and younger, are covered.
And I think, I mean, you're really just trying to prove to the race committee that your boat's maintained properly and so on. And part of that, of course, is you're also showing that by having done the qualifying voyage.
Yeah. So what qualifying voyage do you have to do?
105 miles.
Non-stop, sort of outward sizing.
Outside land for as long as possible.
And overnight.
You got to cover night.
So you can sail out into the channel, get a few sort of laps or something, and
Our boat's not going to do that. Well, can't do 125 miles without going overnight. I'm sorry.
Like for our qualifier on the J105, we basically just set a beeline to cross the channel, turn around and came back. That's essentially what we did.
Okay.
And it covered a bit of nighttime, a bit of daytime. We're outside of land for as long as possible. It's just,
But all these things have to be done with the two people who are going to be on the boat. For
okay.
racing.
So you're
your
proving.
co-skipper.
So the voyage bit is about proving the people, and the Cat 3 and all the other safety requirements are proving the boat. And then it's racing, so it's raced on a handicap under IRC, I think. So then you also need your certificate.
Yes,
IRC.
certificate.
And what's involved in that? That's literally going and getting it measured by the IRC office, and they give you a certificate. Or is it?
The measurements, you can mostly do your own measurements. And most boats, if it's a production boat,
Yes.
all of the standard measurements are no. So you don't need to provide length, speed, nominal displacement, sort of thing. What you will have to do is measure your sails, and as long as you've got a big enough lawn to spread them out on.
Yeah, it's fairly easy to do.
Always better.
So some of the boats will be turning up with sort of laminate, carbon, fancy sails.
Yeah.
Say I had a boat that's standard Dacron cruising boat, furling Genoa, slab reef main,
you'd be fine.
and a cruising chute stuffed somewhere in a locker. Could I do it?
Yeah.
Would that be?
Yes, you can do it. I mean, you do have to think.
You have to have
how
some-
old are these sails,
Yeah.
and I mean, when there's two boats, there's a race, isn't it?
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter what those boats are. So, I think a lot of people would say, well, I'll take this as an opportunity to upgrade my sail.
Yeah.
There's always been quite a lot of cruising boats.
Yeah.
Don't normally race, but this is an opportunity to stretch themselves a bit more, but also have that social events going on, but also learning from the other people. It's not learning necessarily about racing in the start line, but well, how do you change your rig when it blows up, and what different things have you got on yours, and there's a lot of discussion between boats. You're all berthed up next to each other. And
So it's a really good learning opportunity as well.
Yes,
as
exactly.
development.
Actually, that is a good point on the category 3 thing, because that does have restrictions on or requirements on heavy weather sails. So you you need to have storm jib, or at least jib that counts as a heavy weather sail, and you need to have either generally 3 reefs in your mainsail or a trysail.
Yeah. Okay. So you need a bit of.
There's a few things.
So if you do this and you do category 3, actually you end up with a boat that's pretty well set up and spec'd as it should be. If you're going to go and do some of this sort of slightly further cruise, if you're crossing the Channel to Britain, you're going out round Ireland or up to Scotland,
You're
or across
going
the
across the next
you've actually just got a
Pacific.
boat that's really well set up. It's not full of extraneous clobber that you don't need the rest of the time. It's just stuff that's good to have on board anyway.
And you should be thinking about heading.
Yeah. And then in terms of skills that you need before you don't have, obviously you've done the qualifying passage, you've got the experience to do a bit of offshore sailing. Is there training that you need to have done? Do you need to have particular experience? I think you mentioned sea survival training. You don't have to have done
First
that.
aid
do
and
you?
sea survival. In category 3, only one person on board has to have done the sea survival and the first aid. Obviously, if you're sailing solo, then that's one person.
That's it.
But, I would recommend everybody does that. It's a real source of, I don't know, it's a bit of power to your elbow. If you've done the sea survival, if you get into a sticky situation, you're confident that you and your co-skipper can deal with this. The same with first aid. You should both have done that, really. I think it's a simple course. It's not very expensive. They run all the time.
It's a one-day course, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I'd emphasise over that in terms of that you've done quite a bit of sailing, other than your 125 miles if necessary, if you're not an experienced sailor, that the two of you and your co-skipper, have actually sailed quite a bit together. You're going to be out there on the long leg, 2 nights, and you do need to be able to trust the other person on the boat. So unlike some things where you think of it as a skipper and a crew, I always think of it as skipper and co-skipper.
Yeah.
I think also this is knowing each other's quirks and foibles, really, isn't it? Because some of my co-skippers have felt really seasick, and knowing that they're going to be seasick is okay, because we handle that. And knowing what if my co-skipper, because I'm very lucky that I don't get seasick, so I can make sure that I'll do the lion's share of going down below and making sure that they're fed well and making sure that they've got the right clothes on and so on. And so just getting to know your co-skipper is a big part of it, I think.
Definitely.
Just working as a team, and it's really, really rewarding. Like I've done it in terrible weather, and we got across the channel and we got to Kinsale dead last, but we felt like champions because we came out of it, me and my co-skipper, we came out of it knowing that we'd handled the boat well, we'd handled ourselves well. We learned a lot about ourselves in the process. We did a bit of hallucinating because we were so tired. But when we got there, we got to a hero's welcome and a pint, and it was brilliant. And it didn't matter that we came dead last because there's a few others had binned it off into a port on the way. So, we got there, and didn't matter that we felt that we'd done really well in the sense of we'd worked well as a team.
Yeah.
So there is racing and it's competitive, but there's also this whole thing about working with your team. So I think if you're somebody with a boat and a really good mate and you want to sail well together, it's a really good opportunity to develop that sailing friendship or sailing partnership, or if it's a partnership, a husband and wife, or other partners together. I think it's a really good opportunity to hone your sailing skills.
Yeah.
And if you've got ambitions to say, go further afield and maybe one day do the Arc, it's also a good feeder for that, I think.
Yeah.
Just learning to be in close confines with another person is a big part of it. So, in the race there are different categories, and now, Kathy, you were eligible for one of those categories. You could tell us about that.
Yeah, there's a category, but it's the combined age of the skipper and co-skipper had to be more than 120 years.
You said it's unfair on the single-handers.
That's a separate category. Yes, so there were quite a few of us got into that category, and it just depended how it was spread with me, older person at the helm and a slightly younger person to bounce around a bit more on the bow.
I'm trying to think if there was anybody else on the race that was...
There were several of us in our 70s.
Yeah.
Oh, we...
Okay. There was also the category for the young the youngest, wasn't there? So there's people from, was it under 25 this time around? So he was trying to encourage...
Under 30.
It's under 30. Right,
Yeah.
They're trying to encourage younger people to participate. So where possible, and I'm planning to do this time around. I've got a young, keen young sailor who is currently 24. He really wants to do it, so I'm hoping to give him the spare seat this time. In fact, get the boat ready.
And there were quite a few skippers around. Cuba.
Yes.
Yes. Polish sailor, based on the Isle of Man, sails polished Manx.
Yes.
But he's passionate about taking younger sailors under his wing and giving them the opportunity to race offshore as co-skippers with him.
Yep.
And I know that several other skippers have that sort of mentoring mindset of wanting to get other people and using their boats and the experience of these races to bring new sailors and new talent on as well.
Some of the Danos.
Yeah.
I think both the JOG organisation and the RORC organisation have really taken on this encouraging young people by various means, which I'm not going into today. But I think we need to encourage that in Tréguier too.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the race itself. Rob, talk us through what it was like turning up on the start line in Falmouth and that first leg to Kinsale.
Yeah, so the first leg to Kinsale is probably technically the most difficult in the sense that it's quite a surprisingly long way down the Cornish coast to Land's End. We sort of thought of it on the map, but it's not that far, but it used to take hours. And it was upwinds, so start off Painter's Point, reach down to the Lizard, and then beat beautiful sunny evening all the way along the coast there. 10 knots of breeze, just very pleasant. And I think the whole fleet arrived at Land's End around about 10 o'clock to midnight. That's the time. You then got the tricky thing, which is the traffic separation zones. You're not allowed to go in them, so you have to go through them, round them, whatever. And this year, everyone, I think, pretty well everyone, went inside all of them. Just that's where the routing sort of took you. And at that point, it got a bit holy. The winds.
It's a bit exciting, isn't it?
Yeah, well, bits of it were exciting and bits of it were incredibly frustrating because I sort of, a whole bunch of us fell into a hole at about 2 o'clock in the morning, just past Land's End, and on the AIS you could see boats just sailing away at 6 knots, and we were sitting there doing the boat too. You were there too.
Well, we were screaming through. We were like, oh, we can't race now. So we got another breeze coming through because it was a bit like no wind. Suddenly, all the wind. It was like,
all or nothing.
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah. And I got the gust, but that all that did was point me straight at the coast, which really I didn't want that at all. Yeah, I was going through a gap at the time. So that was all interesting, and then you get to the top of the separation zone. It's getting towards daylight, and at that point it became quite easy for 12, however many hours, and all of that. In that it was really a reach. It wasn't quite a spinnaker. I did try it.
Yeah, we saw you try it.
Yeah, that didn't go very well. My autopilot was paying up at the time, which didn't help. And that was okay, but the wind increased and sort of was more on the nose. It turned into so I think the faster boats got across there and got into Kinsale in the evening, so went and had a drink and everything. The slower boats, like myself, we found ourselves in increasingly horrible conditions. So it was misty, it was raining, and the wind was up to sort of 22 just knots,
Bashing away to win.
really bashing through, exactly. And I was quite exhausted and very pleased to arrive at Kinsale.
I'm curious, when did you sleep during that? Because obviously, normally you'd have a little snooze when you're coming across past that shipping area, but actually you could you? Because it's too tricky. So when did you sleep? As a solo, it's easy for double-handers.
Yes. Yeah, well, and that's actually one of the preparation things from a single-handed point of view you have to think about, because you can do an overnight passage, okay, but obviously you get pretty tired. But 2 overnights doesn't make
Most leg.
So what I do, and what I think a lot of single-handers do, is I try to have micro naps.
Yeah.
So I had a kitchen alarm, which I put on one side of the cabin. This is a Mustang, so it's a very small cabin. But it's on one side of the cabin. My quarter berth, my bunkers on the other side of the cabin. I would put the alarm on for 20 minutes, go and pretend to sleep, and you close your eyes, so nothing really happens. And most times I found I was waking up, coming to just before the alarm went off, which is very weird.
Yeah.
But although it doesn't sound like much, you do feel refreshed from that. But yeah, you mentioned hallucinations.
Yes.
You do start feeling quite buzzy and quite hearing things.
I hear things too. Yeah.
I was hearing voices and that sort of thing.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, the middle of the night.
But I think this is why you've got to do.
This is why you go with a coast skipper, so you can get some proper sleep.
That's why I would do it two-handed. But also, why you need to know and what happens when you're both tired,
Yes.
and how much. People always ask me, what watch system do you use? And I said, well, it depends on the conditions.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's an hour on and an hour off because there's too much going on. If it would be lovely to have 3 hours off and 3 hours on, although some people don't want the 3 hours on, but you've got to with 2. You've got to go either way. And you just need to know how it works both in your boat and with your co-skipper.
Yeah.
And also, there's the safety aspect. Obviously, with AIS, this is helpful, and any alarms you've got and things like that. And there are areas like across the Celtic Sea where there's not much traffic, but some of the paths of the course, particularly on the second leg, where you're going through shipping lanes, you're going along rocky coasts, and you do need to have shorter watches there.
Yeah. Okay. So then you all made it into Kinsale. We've talked about the parties and the tours and all the social stuff in Kinsale. JT, tell us about leg 2 from Kinsale to Tréguier.
Oh, the worst one for us, wasn't it? It was one worst leg, and the third leg was way better. Anyway, so the second leg. Bear in mind that the skipper and I was co-skipper on this particular boat. We hadn't sailed a lot together, and we actually hadn't had a lot of time to sail her boat together either. So it was just one of those things.
Yeah.
So isn't it they say fortune favours the brave, and it was just one of those situations that you just have to put the spinnaker up and just go with it and keep feeding it and jibing, whatever you're going to do. It was a spinnaker leg.
Yeah.
We didn't put the spinnaker up.
I was relatively light. Was it like
Asim.
winds from the start?
No,
It's very mixed, really.
Yeah.
it was a very interesting bit to get the extra mileage. It'll be similar this time and maybe a bit further. We did, I think this time it was 10 miles along the coast from Kinsale, which was great fun.
That was all right, actually.
It was a real nice start to it.
Yeah.
And then
rounded
Just
the
a
virtual
virtual
boy,
point,
in fact.
Yeah.
And then off we went across.
striking out
And then
the term.
Yeah.
it's like any yacht race of that length. You're going to get all conditions. And you've said in your leg about all conditions, and certainly leg 2.
Yeah.
It was a mixture.
Because Pleasant Reach, then it was upwind, very light, died away completely overnight.
Yeah, it was really
Then,
next.
I mean,
Filled in.
you say did the spinning?
We should have.
I had. They see
You and your boat.
in my boat. Well, that's another thing that happens when you're single-handed. You do talk to yourself a lot, and it's all we. Anyway, I had it must have been a 15-hour spinnaker reach at 8 knots plus.
Wow.
Awesome.
30 just that's going up.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Were you going through the shipping lanes as well?
No, I didn't. I actually went right round the TSS's. And so I did go
by
by
the French coast.
Oh, no, that was a bit further on.
Yeah.
So the wind has softened the time.
And then as you approach the coast, the wind really died off. So the faster boats.
So those who had got
Got-
the spinnakers up, those who'd probably got their arse in gear and got down there, they just wiggled through the gate. I know some of the sort of faster but I would say more capable sailors of slower boats, they got through. They just by the skin of the teeth, they got through before it all shut down. And then we were we were sort of 10 miles off finish line. We're looking at it and like, oh no, the wind just completely died.
And you've got strong tides too.
Oh, we got the strong tyres, and it's like, and I was eking it along, and my skipper, she'd gone below for a sleep, and I was eking along. I managed to eke along. After 2 hours, I'd done a mile. It's like, oh, this is purgatory, and then it just died completely, and it took a long time for me to persuade the skipper that actually we'd be better off bin off the race, just get in and enjoy hospitality, because
Go and have a beer and a hog roast.
we were definitely going to be out there the whole day, and the wind wasn't looking to fill in for some time, so we would have missed loads of shore time from it.
And there was one boat that decided to stick it out.
They somehow stuck it out.
And they anchored.
Yeah.
Because the
We didn't
wind
have that
dried off, so
facility.
it died off to the point that the
Yeah.
tide was taking you back out.
That's where the cruiser was more beneficial, because they'd got an anchor really easy to deploy with a bow roller and everything, whereas on our little J105 we haven't got that. We've got to carry the anchor outside. We haven't got the roads to do it with. We would have had to join all the mooring lines instead.
They came in the next morning after everybody else
came in at-
to a bit of a hero's
Yeah,
welcome.
they came in the early
Yeah,
hours.
they did miss the drinks and the.
They
on
did
the
miss a
left
bit.
evening.
Yeah. They were wavering about whether it was worthwhile or not, but they did get a hero's welcome.
Yeah.
And
I
they
stayed
won the
out.
prize.
So I stayed out there all night, and looking at my track on the plotter, it basically went in a big oval, and so I sort of got within about 7 miles of the finish.
Well, I photographed you finishing.
Well, because it was at 9 o'clock in the morning. That's right. Yeah, that's right. So so got within about 7 miles of the finish.
He's been a bit over the
So
line.
went back the tide overnight, and yes, that was a long few hours.
It's quite demoralising when you're going back.
It is, but not as demoralising as Paul in the default. He actually played it really well. He got out of the stronger tide and essentially just set a course up channel and just didn't bother to try to go into the finish line until the morning, and then dived into the finish line and missed it by 200 metres. His tide took him past the
But that's sailing.
Yeah.
At the end of a 300-mile leg, it's not what you need.
And then quickly, let's talk about leg 3. We've talked about the start and the fog bank and how the start line was moved.
Yeah.
How did the rest of the leg unfold? It
was brilliant. It was a lovely way to finish, but
Brilliant.
the odds are that it's going to happen because you're going north, so you're likely to get a westerly, and here is an easterly. You've still got a nice reach over there.
So there's fog clear, the sun
it was
came out.
smack us up. But
Yeah.
I thoroughly enjoyed listening to the radio. I mean, like just the chatter going on the radio as various yachts checking in with ships to say, we're clear to go be bound, we know where we're going, and and there was the conversation between the two sort of race leaders. They were jockeying for position. It was really fast boats, and I know the people on both, and I heard one of them radio up, and the ship told him no. And he was less experienced. He was like, oh, okay. Then I could see the boat having to. I was like, oh, this could be on AIS. You could see the whole race playing out. So I could see the two of them. I'm like, ooh, how's this going to go? Because they're also side by side the other boat who's, racing for the win. So then this Dutch guy comes across from the other boat that's racing for the win, from El Corvo, and he basically told the ship, get out of our way. We are a sailing boat. You are the stand-on vessel. So basically, he's like,
You have to be forceful.
Yeah.
There is this
I
attitude.
mean, he's got shipping experience. He said, "Oh, I know what kind of person's on the bridge." And the ship just moved.
Amazing.
But I think you need to communicate, and that's where AIS is brilliant because you can call up the ship, you know exactly what's happening, and you do have to push the point.
Yes.
I am a sailing vessel.
Yes.
And I think this is really important because as soon as one that happened in there gave way,
Yes.
this ship thought it could do it to everybody till he met up with El Corvo and
Came ploughing through.
Yes.
And then you all ended up in Falmouth, crossed the line again off Pendennis.
But
yes, in the dark.
The lovely
most of
thing,
us, I think.
so the lovely thing when we arrived in Falmouth was that, as you've already mentioned, Kuba from Polish Max, he'd arrived ahead of us, I think, and he was waiting on the pontoon to take lines and sort of waving for where to go, and I did the same. So we sort of took a bit of a turn for if you've just arrived, go and look for an empty berth for somebody to come into, and then
find the berths,
yeah,
because
and then
they had a lot of other things going on.
Yeah.
So the berths had been moved in Falmouth because
Yeah.
initially they
Yes.
arranged this with only a few months.
Yeah.
So it was.
But it was
Again,
really good.
the camaraderie of the
Yeah.
whole group really showed.
So those who just arrived, you get your boat moored up, you get your arrival drink, and then run off to go and help the next person in, and
Yeah.
wave a light
Amazing.
for them to come in. Especially in the dark, it's really hard to know where to go.
Yeah. Amazing. So, are you all signed up for next year?
This.
I'm not yet. No, yeah. Well, I maybe changing my boat. I'm not sure. And I'm sure I want to do it 2 years running. Not single-handed. I think I suspect that if I do it the next time, it would probably be two-handed.
Yeah.
But my boat's not ideal for so.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Great. Well, expressions of interest are open. So if you want to find out more, see if it's something that you and your boat could do or want to do, then get in touch with the Royal Cornwall Yacht Club on their website, and all the details are going to be there. And have a read of the articles on yachtingmonthly.com. Sorry, they're just starting up the jet skis, so I think that's probably a sign for us to finish. Thank you very much for watching and listening. If you liked it, give us a thumbs up, subscribe, share, all that kind of stuff, and we will see you next time on the Sailing Podcast. Thanks, guys.